Hey everybody, welcome back. Another episode of Banish the Doubt. Today's episode, I want to talk about throwing your scars, not your stars. And it came from a video I watched, Bayer, and he talked about when he was at his lowest in his life, addictions to alcohol, pornography, and uh, one other area in his life. And he said that one person that got him through that dark time of his life was this pastor, and they were giving a talk one day, and he went to the pastor before he went on. The pastor went on stage, and he shared his the fact that he helped him during those times. And the pastor remarked that a young man was going to be coming up on stage after him, and that he wanted to acknowledge him. And he said, he said he loved the fact that David went to him and spoke about how he was going through his dark times and how this pastor helped him. And the pastor said those words. He said, it's time for us to start throwing our scars and not our stars. So it got me thinking. And there's also another quote I'm going to put up here in a minute from Tony Robbins, the same story from David. But here I have this, I coined it the belief clock, I call it. And I want to start off here with B, belief, and how it ties into down here. So, where do our beliefs come from? Well, they come from here, our conditioned mind. And what is our conditioned mind? Well, it's our subconscious mind. It's the part of us that was developed or was what we had before our conditioned mind here was developed. Before our conditioned mind was developed, everything that you and I experienced before we had a chance to say anything or to really understand what was going on was put into our mind. Okay, this is us, the body, as an infant. So however our parents or whoever our caregivers were, however they lived their life, conditioned us how we think. So if somebody was very worried about what other people think, and that's how they carried themselves in their life. I can remember stories as a young boy hearing that my grandparents, whenever they would argue, my grandfather would go around closing all the windows in the apartment, and my grandmother would follow behind him, open them all up, and she'd say, what are you worried about? What do you think? What do you worry about what they think? Everybody argues. You see, so my grandfather was worried about what other people think. So that type of conditioned thinking, that's how he was raised. He was worried about other people. But what that does is it keeps whoever we are, the real self, inside, locked inside. And that develops this belief. And think about, today, our life today. What are we, the selfie generation, Facebook and Instagram and I think it's called Snapchat or whatever. But we have these perfect um, visioned or perfect pictures of ourselves, right? That we take a photo of, and we have to make sure our hair is just perfect and everything's just great to put out to the world. So everything external, the shell that we live in, looks beautiful, looks perfect. But yet the inner child inside of us is wounded. The scars are there, but we can't show anybody that. We don't want to be vulnerable. But it's in the vulnerability where the greatest gifts come to us. It's in those moments when this is why Alcoholics Anonymous is so powerful, because it tells the person to strip down everything that they're afraid to talk about, get rid of the shell, and just be yourself, be vulnerable. But those conditioned beliefs come from when we were children. It's how what was the conversations about currency? I didn't say money, I said currency. What were the conversations, or what was the messaging about love, about relationships? What was mom and dad's relationship like? Was there even mom and dad? Was there just mom or just dad? You see? So these types of conditioned or beliefs that get established when we were just children, infants. See, because you've seen me say this before. I'll put it here. 3T, 3T to 7Y equals third trimester is 7 years old. That's our third trimester is when our brains light up. Okay, it's when we can start to understand, or the thoughts start to go into that subconscious mind. It starts to condition our mind up until age 7. And we know this by the fact that we talk about stories. Excuse me, the stories are, well, when I was about 7 years old, 6 years old, maybe it was about 4, maybe 8. So it's in those years that we can kind of remember certain things, because here and in between, we don't remember. But this is how we were raised. This is the foundation for our life. So these types of thoughts create our beliefs. Okay. And our beliefs control our thoughts. And our thoughts then control our feelings, emotions, and whether we take action on what it is that we want to do, the relationships we want to get in. Do we have money or not have money in our life? And that's a bad drawing of a house, but that's supposed to be employment. Okay, I'll just put here work. And just even saying the word work, it's because, see, we're conditioned, our beliefs, and our thoughts about how do we generate income? How do we generate this thing called currency? You see, because how we do that are conditioned, our mind's conditioned by our parents and others. And then we start to, as we get older, okay, beyond 7 years of age, we start to notice maybe actors and actresses or sports figures, and we start to see the success, and we start to want to emulate the success. But again, we're seeing the shell of the person, and we're putting the money and the lifestyle ahead of, or it's going to substitute who we are. This is why you'll find people become workaholics. That's the guy. I think the guy was also had that other type of addiction. It became a workaholic. See, because these thoughts that I have to hustle, I have to grind, I have to work, burn the midnight oil. You see, these are all these thoughts that are in our head about the conditioned mind, about how we actually make. We make money. We don't make money. Nobody ever makes any money. But that's been the conditioned thinking. These are thoughts, how we've been raised. And a lot of times you'll find that some of the loneliest people in this world are married people. That's a profound statement. I heard another pastor say that about 6 months ago, or maybe it was a year ago. That's a profound statement. It's very sad, because it means people are not living authentically. They're not throwing their scars, but they're throwing their stars. And that's because we've been conditioned. Oftentimes you find people, you see their relationship, but look at the ones before them. So this is how we start to live our life. We have these beliefs, and then we have thoughts based off of these beliefs. And then what happens is we go from these thoughts And these thoughts create our feelings, our emotions, and then the actions. And if the thoughts are, well, I'm going to put forth this effort, I got to have this be what's put out there. I have to find the car, I have to find the girl or the guy, the relationship, right? What are they called? Sometimes girls are trophy wives, right? It's covering up that we don't want the world to see. I mean, you think about recently, I think it was at J Lo, Jennifer Lopez. They in the news again about yet another failed marriage. Well, who is she really? And these relationships she keeps getting into and falling apart because she's not being authentic to herself. She's covering up, but yet, if you look at the photos of her, what have you, she's putting forth this image that's really not what's going on. Because if she just needs to break down, and I don't mean physically, emotionally, but maybe that, but just say that this is who I am. This is why do I keep chasing after the results? Why do I keep chasing after the same guys all the time? Relationships that are just they're not. They flare up and then they burn out. But that aside, but you see how we live our life because we're not willing to really look at the beliefs that are really driving our thoughts and our feelings, emotions, and actions, or lack thereof, which gets the results we have in our life. And oftentimes the results are based off of actions that we take that we have to lie and we have to grind and we have to compete with the other person and compete with the other businesses or whatever in order to get ahead of the others. So this is why I was talking about this belief clock here because it's we're living our lives today. The majority of us live our lives where we're not authentic. We're not who we really are. And it's paradoxical, is it because we we live a life where we want everybody to see that version of ourselves. This, okay, version that, oh, everything's great, everything's wonderful, everything's cool. Yep, yep. But it's not. It's it's not who we really are. And if you're the type of person watching this right now, we're 13 minutes into this, and you're still with me here, and this is resonating with you. If any of this is resonating with you, is because you know on a spiritual level, on a um, inner level or inner being, that you realize this is not. I'm not saying you should walk around, unkept or whatever, but it's when you look in the mirror and you say, I love who you are. I appreciate you. You deserve everything you have, everything in life. You deserve to be vulnerable and to drop the facade and to put the scars out there and stop putting the stars out there. I'm not saying you shouldn't um, be happy for what you've accomplished in your life, but look back at your beliefs and the thoughts and the actions and the emotions and the results that you've gotten. And as is everything really where you want it to be, or are you just putting forth this image that you want the world to see, and it's not really who you are? It's not really the job is doesn't really fulfill. If that's the situation where your job doesn't fulfill you, your relationships are not fulfilling, you just kind of going through your life, and this may be the video that tells you, okay, it's time. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be your true self because that ultimately, that type of success or whatever you want to call it, that type of a life is the most fulfilling life. It's the one that gets rid of all the conditioned thinking, gets rid of, I have to put forth this image in life that I'm better, that everything is fine, but everything's really not fine. That's where you want to get to. You want to get to where we put new beliefs in our mind that create the thoughts that everything works out for me. My life always works out for me. And who I am, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be me. It's okay to just be comfortable with who I am, regardless of what the external world thinks. Those feelings, those emotions will create the action. You see, I'm making a video now. It's I don't know, 5:30 in the morning, but this is not a video I'm making because I feel like I have to, or because I'm making any money. I'm putting this out because this is who I am. This is what I love doing. This is my passion. These actions I'm taking are inspired actions. I'm not, so many of us go to a job, right? We go to work. We don't even like the job we're in. But why is that? What are the what are the fears? And this should be a fear instead of feelings, but fear, okay, that drives the emotion that creates the action or the lack thereof. And if you're going to a job, that's fine. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a job, but what do you really want? What is inside of you, that voice that wants to get out? Who is this person inside of you that wants to come out? Not this person that we put forth that everything is fine. See, because it's Friday morning, and how many of us live a life where it's Friday morning and the weekend's here and I'm going to go off and I'm going to run around. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but we just avoid. We have avoidance. This A instead of action could be avoidance. We avoid these kind of conversations. We avoid this type of vulnerability, but it creates results that maybe we don't even like, and the results are right in line with what our beliefs are. So this is how we want to understand that if it's the results in life we're not getting, the results in all this goes right back to the conditioned mind, the beliefs that we have, the beliefs that, or the thoughts that we've been turned a blind eye to for so many years that we said, I'm not going to focus on that. I'm not going to deal with that. But when we don't do that, oftentimes people end up in marriages that they're not even happy, but they don't say anything. Oftentimes they end up in jobs where they don't like it. One more time about this currency. Understand something. We don't make money. Okay? If you want to make money, go get a printing press and go create a dollar bill with a bunch of green ink. We generate an income. Okay, we generate currency. There's a reason why it's called currency, because it's vibrational. Money is vibrational, or currency is vibrational. It doesn't come to you and I, it comes through us. So going back to what I said about you have a job, but whatever it is you want to do in your life, you want to get this image or this message out to the world. That's what you have been called to do. So it's time then to realize the conditioned beliefs that you have inside of yourself. Change them. Identify what they are. Change them to who you truly are. Become aligned with that. And you do that, and suddenly those beliefs you have will turn to the thoughts that I'm enough, that I am worthy, I am deserving of. That'll create the feelings and the emotions, and it will create inspired action. And that inspired action will create the results that will be in harmony with the beliefs. And that is how we understand the difference. And we understand that's how we get to the point in our life where we are complete and whole. And we no longer need to put forth this image to the world that everything is fine when everything inside is not fine. Because when you get to that point, who you are on the inside, when that starts to shine, you don't need to tell anybody anything. It just, people start to gravitate towards you because they can just feel, again, currency, they can just feel the energy coming from you. That's pure. That's That's that is light. That is just because people are drawn to that because that's who we are. See, that person on our inside is drawn to that person and somebody else. You know it because you've been around those kind of people. Dr. Wayne Dyer or Mother Teresa. These people are just you just know you could feel their energy, and that's what you want to get to. You want to have that person come out because when that person comes out, then this is in perfect harmony. That pure love. That's what the message is today about throwing your scars, not your stars. Have a good day.